Okay, I want to explain something to Delphiers out there that seem to be shocked that the lady had to fire the weapon. Now, real fast, if you don't know anything about forensics or anything, did she fire the actual bullet that they found? No, no. That's evidence. What she probably did was grabbed another 40 cal round and shot it. Now, in this case, all they had was ejection marks. So I believe she fired the weapon. It gave her the ejection marks. They weren't looking for barrel rifling or fire pin because it was an unspent round. So for those people out there thinking the case is, oh my God, it's so corrupt. It's so corrupt, right? They fired the bullet through the gun. No, no, they kept that bullet and they fired another one through it and then got what they needed. Now, back in the olden days, before all this DNA stuff, all this technology, it was called ballistics. And the way they did that was they saved trouble and they did it properly. They fired a weapon. It gave them the barreling, it gave them the extraction mark, and it gave them the firing pin all in one, right? So if they did have an unspent bullet, they could at least get a bullet or a shell that they can compare by firing it through the weapon to the one that they found at the crime scene. So for a lot of people saying the case is, oh, it's so corrupted, it might be, but for these people to say that the forensic evidence way of matching the bullet is junk science. Uh, they've been solving cases for many years that way before DNA and all this new technology. It ain't junk. And that's what we'll probably find is people will rely on technology and they will not do the old fashioned boots on the ground crime solving, right? Cases were solved with no DNA. People can't get off that there was no DNA there of Richard Allen. We don't know that. For all we know, everything they've been telling people is a lie. We don't know because we weren't there. We don't know actually what was done. We're going off what they say. Uh, I think the lady uh, did her job properly by firing the weapon with another round. Um, that was a very smart idea because that's the way it used to be. So a lot of people can make a big stink about that. Uh, but would it bother me? No, not at all. They were doing their, they should have learned that in school. If you can't get an ejection mark from just racking the gun, fire it because then the gun will give you the extraction marks because you're going to have a hot round. It's going to definitely leave ejection marks in it. And I think the police did their job right. Now, whether he was set up or not, that lady said the bullet, after she fired it, it did match the bullet they found, the extraction marks. So I'm going to let you folks know this is a very crazy case. A lot of people involved, whether they wanted to be or not, for the simple fact of the things that were going on there before the murders. So kudos to the lady for firing the weapon. These people that are saying that the cases, ooh, they had to fire the weapon, right? They had to fire it. Did they use the same bullet or they had to fire it to get, you know, an extraction mark because racking it through Richard Allen's gun didn't leave the impressions good enough to be read, right? So it must be not Richard's, but well, the lady did her job right. Kudos to her. And you're going to be probably shocked at some of these people that we thought were on the up and up. Some might claim they're teachers. I'm no teacher. I'm an idiot that's learning. I mean, look it up yourself. That's what they used to do in the old days, was fire the weapon to get a 100% match. And that's pretty much it. I just wanted to let the folks know I wouldn't be panicking, right? But it's obvious not everybody knows criminology or uh, the stuff that we're watching or learning in this, which is shocking to me. I would never find myself watching something like, or being involved with something like that, watching all this crazy stuff. Uh, I mean, but then it's kind of interesting because it is a science to solve a case. And I can't believe how they did this back in the olden days, before they knew about ballistics, before they had DNA, before they had a lot of stuff. How did them guys solve? I mean, it's like one of them old time mystery crime solving thing, like Sherlock Holmes. And how did these guys do that back in the day when they themselves didn't even have rifling? They didn't know anything about rifling back then, or extraction marks, or firing pins or anything, right? Who was the guy that came up and figured out, wow, we can use this bullet that someone shot and match it up with a bullet that we found in somebody that was dead? Who came up with that idea is my question. And what year was it? I wonder what year that was when we can. Oh my, wow, what? Who knew? We just bought weapons and it was the Wild Wild West and shoot 'em up cowboy. All right, I'm having some tea right now, hot cup of herbal tea. And I'm kind of shocked that so many people, I was one. I had a lot of suspects. A lot of people I think still match the voice. It's crazy. And that's why I think it's it's almost like a demonic thing. It's like is it could it be the Lord saying it was these people? They, well, Lord, well, they all kind of look alike. They all kind of sound alike. They all do the same. Maybe the Lord was saying through. It's all these people. They all sound. They all had a hand in it. I don't know. I'm telling you, it's freaking me out. It's freaking me out. It could be something mental, maybe something in the water. I don't know. But am I worried that they fired the weapon? Well, the only thing I'm worried about is that I hope they didn't use the same round they found to fire the weapon. Hopefully, someone had enough brains, which I think she did, to just take a regular round and pump it through there and compare the extraction marks, which that's probably what she did. She said she had to fire the weapon, and then it matched, and it makes sense. It was a hot round. It was definitely going to match. And you don't know if Richard cleaned his weapon, uh, you know, how hard he racked it. He might have just slightly racked it, and not a real hard, not a real not a real loud one because a lot of people might have been around. Hello, Miss Debbie Fox. Hello, Cyber Warrior. I'm just voicing my opinion on. I'm not worried about that she fired the weapon. Not at all. Right? It don't bother. If I was on the jury, it wouldn't bother me. I wouldn't have looked at that as, oh, it's not his gun. Right? It's a big conspiracy, which it could be, but would that concern me if everything? If let me make this clear, folks, if everything was up to par and everything was legit, and they told me that as a juror that they had to fire the weapon with another round. After that, the extraction marks did match. Uh, because there's a chance he racked it real slow and like, you know, one came out, probably rolled out, depending on how hard he racked it. And I imagine he didn't rack it too hard because if there was other people around there in a valley like that, depending on how fast the river was flowing, we had a bunch of snow up north here, and it snowed all the way down into Delphi, and it all melted within a couple days. So any water that was up here definitely was heading down south in the rivers, which would have been the river they were on. So yeah, depending on how what it was like, it might have been moving pretty fast. It might have made noise. Maybe he racked it hard. I don't know. There was extraction marks on the bullet. So they had something to match it. For all we know, Richard racked it many a times and just kept reusing it or whatever. Maybe in a delusional drinking or something at home, loading magazines, right? Loading magazines and everything. We don't know. All right, you folks have a good night. I didn't mean to bore you folks for too long. For you folks all worried and crazy about it, do some history on it, and you'll see it's not a big deal. We got bigger and worse things to find out still. Have a good night.